What if you woke up tomorrow and every government on Earth had simply vanished? Not destroyed, not overthrown, just gone. The White House stands empty. The Kremlin's doors are open but no one sits inside. Parliament buildings echo with silence. Every president, prime minister, and king has disappeared overnight. But here's the thing, the roads are still there. The hospitals still have power. Your neighbor still waves good morning. The question isn't what breaks first. The question is what happens when 7 billion people suddenly have to figure it out themselves. What would you do on day one? Governments weren't always here, you know. For most of human history, we lived in small groups, tribes, villages, maybe a few hundred people who knew each other's names. When someone stole your goat, you didn't call the police. You walked over and asked for it back. If that didn't work, the whole village got involved. Simple problems, simple solutions. But then we started building bigger things. Cities, trade routes. Suddenly you're dealing with thousands of strangers. You can't shake hands with everyone anymore. You need rules that work for people you've never met. So we created something new. Kings to make decisions. Courts to settle fights. Tax collectors to pay for roads and armies. Slowly, government became the invisible hand organizing everything from your morning commute to the water in your tap. The strange thing is, government only works because we all agree it works. A president has power because we believe they do. Money has value because we trust it does. Laws matter because we follow them. It's all just a shared agreement, and agreements can be broken. So imagine it's gone, all of it. The first few days are surprisingly normal. The power stays on because engineers still show up to work. Doctors still save lives because that's what doctors do. Teachers still teach because kids still need to learn. But slowly things start changing. Without permits or licenses, people just start fixing things. That pothole on your street that's been there for months? Your neighbor fills it with concrete from the hardware store. The abandoned lot becomes a garden because Mrs. Johnson had extra seeds. Markets spring up in parking lots. Farmers drive their trucks to town and sell directly to families. No middleman, no regulations. Just tomatoes for $20, take it or leave it. Neighborhoods form their own little councils. The retired teacher becomes the unofficial mayor. The guy who fixes cars becomes the infrastructure chief. The nurse runs the health committee. Democracy gets smaller, more personal. Some communities thrive. They organize cleanup days and shared childcare. They create their own currencies. Maybe wooden tokens with the town seal, or just good old-fashioned IOUs. Trust becomes the only credit score that matters. But other places struggle. Without police, some streets become dangerous. Without regulations, some factories dump waste into rivers. Without courts, disputes turn into feuds that last for generations. Borders start to fade. Why would you need a passport when there's no government to check it? People move where the jobs are, where their family is, where the water is clean. Migration happens naturally, like birds following the seasons. Cities become networks of villages. Each neighborhood develops its own character, its own rules, its own leaders. Manhattan might have 50 different micro-governments, all loosely connected but fiercely independent. What changes? Everything and nothing. On the good side, things get more direct. No more waiting months for permits to fix a bridge. No more bureaucracy slowing down solutions. Communities solve problems fast because they have to live with the results. Innovation explodes in some places. Without patent laws or regulations, inventors share designs freely. Solar panels get cheaper. Water purification systems get simpler. Technology serves people instead of profits. Some places become safer than they ever were under government. When everyone knows each other, crime becomes personal. It's harder to steal from someone whose kids play with your kids. But then there's the dark side. Medical research slows down without government funding. No one can afford to spend billions developing new vaccines when there's no guarantee of return. Simple diseases that were almost eliminated start coming back. Infrastructure crumbles in places where communities can't organize. Bridges collapse. Internet networks fail. Air traffic control becomes a nightmare of competing local authorities. Some regions fall under the control of whoever has the most guns. Warlords emerge. Protection rackets. The strong prey on the weak without courts or police to stop them. Trade becomes chaotic. Without standard currencies or weights and measures, every transaction becomes a negotiation. Supply chains that once spanned continents fragment into local networks. And then there's the question of knowledge. All those government databases, medical research, weather data, nuclear safety protocols. When the governments vanished, did that information vanish too? So what did we really lose? And what did we gain? We lost the ability to dream big. No government means no space program, no massive infrastructure projects, no coordinated response to climate change or pandemics. Some problems are just too big for neighborhoods to solve alone. But we gain something too. We gain the knowledge that we don't need permission to help each other, that most problems can be solved by people who actually live with those problems. Think about your own community. How much of what keeps you safe and happy actually comes from government? Your neighbor who checks on elderly residents, the parent who organizes carpools, the volunteer who runs the food bank. Maybe government was never the source of order, maybe it was just reflecting the order we create ourselves. But here's the real question. In a world without government, would we eventually create government again? Would those neighborhood councils grow into city councils, then state councils, then federal councils? Are we doomed to repeat the same cycle, or could we build something better? Would you miss having someone to blame when things go wrong? Or would you prefer having the power to fix things yourself? What if the choice isn't between government and no government, but between distant government and local government, between being ruled and being responsible? This is the timelines where history takes a different turn. Maybe the question isn't whether we need government, but whether government needs to be so far away from the people it serves. In a world where every voice can be heard instantly, why do we still govern like it's 1776?